So the Baseball Hall of Fame class of 2021 was announced yesterday, and it includes nobody. Absolutely nobody. 0 players on the 2021 Baseball Writers Association of America ballot received the votes necessary to get into the Hall of Fame. Nobody. 0. Barry Bonds and his 7 MVPs. Nope. Roger Clemens and his 7 Cy Young Awards. Hit the bricks. Curt Schilling. Close, but no cigar. None of them appeared on 75% of the ballots that they need to get into the Hall of Fame. So there will not be a Hall of Fame class of 2021. All 3 got hammered again. 2 for being juiced out of their minds, and 1 for, well, just being out of his mind. As a result, it's the first time since 1960 that there will be no change in the number of members for the Hall of Fame. So, no need to waste any time or any money on any new plaques. Obviously, I'm not surprised. And if you are surprised, you have not been paying attention, or you've been lying to yourself. Like, you knew Bonds was not getting in this year. You knew that was not happening, just as you knew that Clemens was not getting in this year. The voters have pretty much dug in. They made up their minds and their decisions on Bonds and Clemens a long time ago. You were either okay with them juicing up to their eyeballs or you weren't. Again, binary. Either you're fine with it or you're not. You could either rationalize it by saying they were already Hall of Famers before they started using, or you could say that we're talking about a sport full of bullroiders, and that Bonds and Clemens were still the best because, quote, everybody was using. And by the way, everybody was not using. But that's one of the arguments I always hear. Well, everybody was doing it, and they were better than everybody else. Let them in. You know, yes, they were on every PED known to man. But so was everybody else, and they were still kicking ass. That argument. Or, if you'd like, you could say that, yeah, but PEDs weren't even banned at that time. Or you could go the other way and say they cheated. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were cheating. And there's no way you vote for somebody who cheated, no matter what everybody else was doing at that time. You might go that way. Again, the voters are dug in. They made up their mind. Or you might be fine with the fact that they didn't just cheat. They lied about it and then damaged the lives of others as a result. Or you could take the non-traditional approach of baseball pitcher turned house painter Scott Service back in the day when he called into this show and he talked about that very topic.
Here's the thing. Mark McGwire belongs in all things. So does Sammy Sosa, so does Mark McGwire, so does Barry Bonds. All these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. Okay? Now here's the thing. Back when steroids, they wasn't illegal and everybody, guys did it. Okay? You know, steroids might maybe hit the ball 50 feet further, but like I said, these guys.
Yeah, but 50 feet is the difference between the warning track and the 30th row.
Yeah, but if it's 410 feet and 470 feet, the ball's already gone.
All right, so he made that argument back in 2010. You do the math. I'll do the Alfredo. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing that if Scott Service was a voter, he'd be voting for Bonds and Clemens because what's another 50 feet on a fly ball? You know, I don't know. What's another 50 feet on a fly ball? What's another 30 miles per hour on a fastball? The discussion has been made. The decisions have been made. The voting numbers have pretty much leveled off. I mean, they all went up a tiny bit. Honestly, the weird thing at this moment would be if Bonds or Clemens did get in this year. If a bunch of people suddenly decided to change their minds and put these guys in their second to last year on the ballot. Because then you got Curt Schilling, and his situation is a little bit different. He came the closest, actually, to getting into the Hall of Fame this year. His vote total actually has been climbing in recent years, and this time he came up 16 votes short. Again, we can have a conversation about guys having to wait to get in or their vote totals climbing. But this is weird. Schilling was at 45% in 2017, and now 4 years later, he just missed out. So what happened in the last 4 years? Did Schilling suddenly become a better pitcher in the last 4 years of his retirement? Did he take the ball again in the last 4 years? Did he add to his credentials? Did he win more games? Did he win more games? Did he add a world championship to his resume? And did all of that make him a more deserving candidate over the last 4 years? Of course not. Now, Schilling did not cheat. Not that we know of. So what's keeping him out? I mean, the fact that he never won a Cy Young Award, meaning that he was never actually the best pitcher in baseball in any given year, that might be keeping him out. Or maybe it's the fact that voters think that he's been one of the worst people in baseball for the last several years. That might be keeping him out. If you were to ask Schilling, I'm sure that he would tell you it's that, and that it's personal, and that the voters are keeping him out because they just don't like him, and they don't like his politics, and they don't like his Twitter feed. And that's why he's now making this big thing about wanting to have his name removed from the ballot next year. That's why he wrote a letter to the Hall of Fame and why he posted that letter on his Facebook page. I'm just going to read you a part of this, just a part of it. I'm not going to read you the entire thing. But the Facebook post was really kind of interesting. Quote, I want to share with everybody the letter I wrote to the folks at the Hall of Fame yesterday. They've been otherworldly kind and gracious in every way possible, and I'll be forever grateful to them and for that. This was written privately and for their eyes only, but I've always been fine with anyone knowing how I feel and what I think, end quote. I mean, like 3 sentences in, I'm completely lost already. You wrote this letter, quote, privately. You wrote this letter, quote, for their eyes only. But now you're posting it on Facebook. Huh? I mean, how does that sentence even make sense? And then in this allegedly private letter that he posted on Facebook, this rambling piece of more than 1,100 words, he runs down a list of axes to grind, including pointing out the differences between he and Bonds and Clemens, as well as this line, quote, I do not and never will scoreboard the cowards. But if I'm not mistaken, only Jamie Moyer and I swept the humanitarian awards players can win, end quote. This dude, this is so rich. I will not say scoreboard, but hey, look at the scoreboard. And the scoreboard says, not only am I not one of the worst guys ever, I'm actually one of the best guys ever. In fact, screw a Hall of Fame plaque. I don't need that. They ought to give me my own national holiday plaque. I should be in every history book in every library in the world. And not for anything I did on the diamond, but because I changed the entire freaking world by being the greatest freaking humanitarian ever. You want scoreboard? Hey, Mother Teresa, scoreboard. Look up at it. You too, Nelson Mandela. Hey, Gandhi, tell me how my humanitarian ass tastes. You tell me who's had a greater impact on this country, me or Martin Luther King? Right, that's what I thought. And then he chases it with this, quote, this is incredible too, quote, based on the vote and the pike of dung authored by morally decrepit men like Dan Shaughnessy. It's the latter, end quote. Hey, you mind if I read that again? Because that's incredible. A, quote, pike of dung authored by morally decrepit men like Dan Shaughnessy, end quote, is an amazing line. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and guess that maybe Schill didn't like something or a lot of things or everything that my guy Dan Shaughnessy wrote. And something near the end of the letter, Schilling gets right to the point finally. Quote, I will not participate in the final year of voting. I am requesting to be removed from the ballot. I'll defer to the Veterans Committee and men whose opinions actually matter and who are in a position to actually judge a player. I don't think I'm a Hall of Famer, as I've often stated, but if former players think I am, then I'll accept that with honor, end quote. Man, this is a hell of a lot for a guy who doesn't even think he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's said it in the past, and he's saying it again right now. I'm not a Hall of Famer. Good. Case closed. We can all keep moving. You know, personally, I've always said this. I have always said this, even predating the Bullroyd era. If you have to make an argument for somebody being in the Hall of Fame, then they should not be in the Hall of Fame. Even Schilling knows that. Schilling can't even make an argument for Schilling. So, dude, if you know that you're not a Hall of Famer, stop getting all bent when you don't get into the Hall of Fame. You just said it yourself. You don't deserve it. The voters agree with you. So just get back to doing whatever it is you weren't doing in the first place. And one last thought on this. Yes, there is a character clause in the voting. And yes, there are some horrible people in the Hall of Fame. Horrible people. Like Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb was one of the worst guys ever. Ty Cobb was one of the worst guys ever in baseball. Ty Cobb was the guy that went into the stands to beat up a fan who didn't have any hands. And when somebody screamed at him, hey, Ty, he's got no hands. Don't kick him. He's got no hands. Cobb reportedly responded, and I quote, I don't care if he has no feet. Like, I know that story, and I know that Ty Cobb is in the Hall of Fame. There's some bad guys in the Hall of Fame. But the thing about that, because that clause exists, that character clause, there are much guys worse than Schilling even in the Hall of Fame, but what that clause does is it gives plenty of cover with what he has said and done over the years for voters who don't like him and don't want him in. Just know this. This thing's not going away anytime soon. Just because Bonds and Clemens are going to be on the ballot again, or will be on the ballot for the last year, Schilling has removed himself, it doesn't mean it's not going away. Because next year the soap opera begins again with David Ortiz and Alex Rodriguez. Hell yeah. We just keep right on having that conversation. Here's the truth. Here's my bottom line on this. I used to actually get fired up about these questions and about these discussions. I used to actually care about the morality and the ethics of the thing. But I am so beaten down by this should they or shouldn't they be in and all these questions. I just don't give a damn anymore. I really don't. I really don't. I never thought that I would say it, but I don't give a damn. Let all the cheaters in for all I care. I'm just as good if you keep all the cheaters out. I don't care. I would say let me know when you decide, but I don't even want to know. I don't care. Just don't make me go through all of this even one more time, much less 20 more times. I may have cared at one point, but I do not care anymore. I just don't. Oh, man, but I'm supposed to, right? Screw it. Hey, baseball, you got me this far. You got me to the table. Let's put it all out there. Anybody have a shovel? Anybody want to dig up the Pete Rose debates? Purists, do you want to run back to DH? Hey, maybe save some of this gold content for tomorrow, and we can talk about ways to improve the All-Star game. We can do that tomorrow. Hey, Friday, is the ball juiced? Hey, wait, it's a beef day, right? I got one. Why haven't we switched to robot umpires yet? Let's fix the strike zone. The technology is there. Why wouldn't we use it? I don't care. Let them all in. Don't let any of them in. But whatever you do, don't bring that around here anymore. Don't give a damn.